The void of space was silent as it always was, endless darkness stretching beyond the sight of any starship. The Imperial listening post Epsilon 9 floated quietly between the twin suns of the Loreth system. Its crew bored, tired, and used to nothing ever happening. For the last 72 cycles, the only signals they had received were static echoes and ghost transmissions from distant mining freighters. Lieutenant Eris leaned back in her chair, her boots resting on the console, eyes half closed as the scanners hummed softly. She had been posted here for almost a year, and in all that time, not a single real anomaly had been reported. Another day of nothing, she muttered, sipping recycled coffee that tasted like metal. Then the console beeped once, then twice, then a rising tone that made her spine straighten. The holographic display flickered to life, lines of strange data scrolling fast. Eris frowned, leaned forward, and whispered, "That can't be right." A red icon pulsed at the edge of the system map, deep in the void where no ship should exist. The signal was strong, clear, and steady, but unlike anything in their database, no identification tag. No transponder, no known signature. It wasn't Imperial. It wasn't traitor, it wasn't pirate. It was something else, something unknown. She called out, "Command, we have an unregistered contact on long-range sensors." The officer in charge, Captain Drevin, approached, his face calm but his voice tight. "Show me the data," he ordered. She expanded the scan results, and the numbers began to shake slightly on the screen, as if the system itself was struggling to read them. "Speed, unknown," she said slowly. "It's moving too fast," the captain whispered, staring. No known drive could reach that velocity in normal space. Eris nodded. "Sir, should we hail it?" He hesitated, then shook his head. "No, we watch first." Moments passed. The ship, or whatever it was, kept moving closer. Every few seconds it changed trajectory, almost like it was scanning them. It darted through empty coordinates, then corrected its course again. The computers began to stutter, unable to track its acceleration. "What the hell kind of ship is that?" one of the crew murmured. "No record found," replied the AI, its calm voice now flickering with static. "Origin, unknown," it added before the feed briefly cut out. Eris's hands trembled as she reconnected the sensors. "I don't like this," she whispered. Captain Drevin activated the communication link to Central Command. "This is Listening Post Epsilon 9. We have detected an unidentified warship approaching from Vector 90. Speed exceeding all known limits." The reply came a moment later, cold and formal. "Confirm identity before engaging. Maintain observation." The crew watched as the strange object crossed the edge of sensor range. Its shape began to form in the holographic display, a massive silhouette longer than any Imperial dreadnought. But its outline was broken, parts of it missing, almost like a ruin drifting through space. Still, it moved with purpose, like something alive. The lights flickered inside the post and the temperature dropped. Systems went offline for 3 seconds. When they came back, every external camera had gone dark. "EMP pulse?" Eris asked, but no alarm had triggered. Drevin shook his head. "No, something else." Suddenly the holographic screen flashed again. A brief visual, grainy and distorted, but enough to freeze every heartbeat in the room. It wasn't a warship, it was ancient, scarred, covered in unfamiliar runes that glowed faintly blue, and on its hull, under layers of damage, they could see it. A symbol. 2 curved wings and a circle between them. Like an ancient Terran insignia. "That's human," Eris breathed, her voice cracking. "But that's impossible," said Drevin, eyes wide. "Humanity's fleet was destroyed over 200 years ago." The image vanished, the ship now invisible again. But the sensors still screamed, the readings going wild. It was accelerating, faster, then gone. The display showed nothing but static, and the crew sat frozen. Silence filled the room once more, broken only by the soft hum of the failing systems. Captain Drevin turned to Eris, his face pale. "Send a full report," he said quietly. "Include everything. And mark it priority red." She nodded, but her voice shook as she whispered, "Sir, what if it wasn't just passing by?" The captain didn't answer. He just stared out the viewport, into the darkness where the signal had vanished. Somewhere out there, a forgotten human warship had awakened, and it was moving too fast for anyone to stop. The message from Listening Post Epsilon 9 reached the Imperial capital within 4 hours, traveling through dozens of encrypted relays before landing on the table of the High Council. Inside the grand chamber of polished silver and blue light, 12 counselors sat in silence as the hologram played, showing the blurred image of the unknown ship. Every word from the transmission echoed through the room. Unidentified warship detected. No record, no origin, and it's moving too fast. The silence broke when Lord Varel, the defense minister, slammed his hand against the table. "This is impossible," he growled. "No ship in the galaxy moves at that velocity." Across from him, Admiral Terran adjusted her silver uniform and said quietly, "Unless it's not one of ours." That sentence made everyone look up. The Council's central AI, known as Core, projected data across the chamber. Speed, estimated 0.45 light within normal space, it stated. Several counselors gasped. "That's beyond any warp technology known," Terran whispered. "Even the precursor ruins on Myris never hinted at that." Chancellor Rellan, the oldest of them all, leaned forward, his voice low and calm. "Where did it come from?" "Unknown," replied Core. "Its energy signature does not match any of the 56 known civilizations." "What about origin codes?" "None detected," the AI replied. "However, partial hull markings detected." At that, the hologram zoomed in, revealing the faint human emblem seen by the Epsilon crew. 2 wings in a circle, carved deep into a metal older than any known alloy. A murmur spread across the chamber. "Human?" one counselor whispered. "That's a myth. Humanity was erased from history," another said sharply. "The archives say their last colony fell centuries ago." Admiral Terran's eyes narrowed. "Then explain that," she said, pointing at the hologram. No one could. The Chancellor finally stood, his robes shimmering in the dim light. "Seal this information," he commanded. "No public disclosure until confirmed." "But sir," Varel protested, "if it's real, then panic will destroy us faster than the ship ever could," Raylan interrupted, his tone icy calm. Meanwhile, deep below the council chambers, a classified branch of the Imperial Navy known as the Archivum Division had already begun their own investigation. Dr. Cale Varon, one of their top xenotech analysts, stared at the playback of the human emblem again and again. His team worked in silence, scanning fragments of old Earth data recovered centuries ago. "It's the same insignia," Cale whispered. "The Terran Defense Fleet used it during their last war." His assistant frowned. "But those ships were lost in the Great Collapse, sir." Kyle nodded slowly. "Unless one didn't fall." He activated an old database marked Restricted, Human ERA, and ancient files began to scroll. Old transmissions, grainy battle records, and last-ditch distress calls from human colonies long gone. Most were corrupted, but one file remained intact. A message sent by the commander of the HSS Valiant. Cale played it, and a human voice, tired but proud, echoed through the room. "To whoever finds this, humanity will endure," it said. "Even if our stars die, something will wake again when the galaxy needs us most." Kyle froze. The timestamp of the message matched the last known coordinates of the ship detected near Epsilon 9. His heart pounded. Could it be? "The Valiant?" he murmured before he could analyze further. An encrypted summons came through his terminal, marked with the Chancellor's seal. "Dr. Varon, report to the High Council immediately." Up in the chamber again, Raylan waited as Cale entered. "You analyzed the signal," the Chancellor said. Not asking but stating, "Yes, sir," Cale replied quietly. "And I believe it's not alien, it's human." A wave of disbelief swept through the council. "Humanity is extinct." Lord Varel shouted, "Their world burned. Their fleets vanished." Cale met his gaze. "Then tell me how a dead species just flew faster than light without a warp field." The Chancellor turned to Admiral Terran. "Prepare a fleet for investigation," he said. She hesitated. "Sir, if this ship truly belongs to the old Terrans, we should proceed carefully." Raylan nodded. "That's why you will lead it." "And if it's hostile?" she asked. "Then," he said grimly, "we'll see if our empire still remembers how to fear." As Cale left the chamber, he looked up at the stars through the tall glass dome. Somewhere out there, the Valiant, or whatever it had become, was moving faster than anything alive, not toward the Empire, but deeper into the unknown. Its path aligned perfectly with one ancient star system, a system that once bore a simple name lost to most records, Sol. The Imperial fleet gathered near the border of the old Void sector, ships shimmering against the darkness. Admiral Taryn stood on the command bridge of the dreadnought Vigilant Star, her hands behind her back, eyes fixed on the empty screen ahead. Behind her, officers whispered, tension thick in the air. No one liked being assigned near ancient space, the place where old maps ended and stories began. Dr. Cale Varon joined her on the bridge, his expression unreadable. "This is where the signal vanished," he said quietly. "Coordinates match the last record of the human ship, the Valiant." Taryn nodded. "Begin the scan." The crew activated the long-range sensors, blue lines sweeping across the void. For long minutes nothing happened, only the hum of power cores and the faint pulse of the reactor. Then the lights flickered, a faint echo appeared on the display. A static burst, deep and rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. "Signal detected," an officer reported. "Source..." "Everywhere," Cale frowned. "Everywhere?" The officer nodded. "It's bouncing across space like it's alive." Suddenly, multiple red dots appeared across the holographic map. Not one ship, dozens, hundreds, all emerging from cloaked coordinates. The officers gasped, "Fleet incoming!" Admiral Taryn's voice stayed calm. "Identify them." The computer struggled, lines of alien and corrupted code filling the display. Finally it spoke. "Designation, Terran Warfleet. Active status, unknown." The bridge went silent, Cale whispered. "The Ghost Fleet. It's real." Out of the darkness, shapes began to form. Colossal warships, their hulls scarred, their engines glowing faintly blue with strange plasma light. They looked ancient and powerful, yet alive. As if something greater was guiding them, each vessel carried the same faded symbol. 2 wings and a circle, the mark of old humanity. The Vigilant Star's crew stood frozen as the lead ship approached. It was enormous, bigger than any Imperial flagship, its shadow covering their entire view. Its nameplate flickered faintly in Old English letters. HSS Valiant. Cale's heart pounded. "It's her," he whispered. "The lost flagship of humanity." Admiral Taryn gave the order. "Open communication channel." Static filled the air, followed by a deep mechanical voice. "Unregistered vessels detected," it said, calm and slow. "Identify yourselves," Taryn replied. "This is the Imperial fleet representing the Council of the Lareth Empire. State your identity." There was a long pause, and then the voice returned, colder than before. "Lareth Empire. Data found. Classification hostile." Before anyone could react, the Valiant's forward cannons charged, light building like a newborn star. "Evasive!" Taryn shouted, and the Vigilant Star rolled hard, seconds before a beam of pure energy sliced through the void, tearing through 2 escort ships instantly. Shockwaves rattled the fleet. Alarms screamed. Cale held onto the console, shouting, "Stop firing! They don't know who we are!" But the comms were dead, jammed by a field older than the Empire itself. The Ghost Fleet moved in perfect silence, shifting formation like a storm. Every time Imperial ships fired back, their shots vanished into shimmering barriers of unknown energy. No damage, no response, only cold precision. "These ships aren't attacking for revenge," Cale shouted. "They're following old war protocols." Taryn's eyes widened. "Automated defense?" He nodded. "Maybe, or something worse, something that remembers." The Valiant halted suddenly, and for the first time its main hull opened, revealing a massive bay filled with blue light. Inside, the silhouette of thousands of cryopods glimmered faintly. Cale stared at the readings. "There are life signs inside," he whispered. "Humans. Still alive." The Admiral turned toward him, disbelief in her eyes. "After 2 centuries?" Cale nodded slowly. "Somehow, yes." Then, the communication channel cracked open again, but this time it wasn't a machine voice. It was human, tired, and filled with sorrow. "This is Captain Elias Vorn, commander of the Valiant. To any who hear us," the voice said, "if you are not of human blood, leave this place." Taryn tried to respond. "Captain Vorn, we come in peace," but the voice cut her off. "Peace is a word we no longer trust." The Valiant powered its engines, and the surrounding ghost ships mirrored the motion. Cale whispered, "He thinks humanity was wiped out by the Empire. He doesn't know time has passed." "Then we have to tell him," Taryn said firmly, "or this galaxy will burn again." Outside, the stars darkened as the Ghost Fleet formed into battle lines. Thousands of blue lights aligned in silence, ready to fire, the Empire's most powerful fleet, standing against the forgotten soldiers of humanity's past. 2 eras, 2 civilizations about to collide, and somewhere inside the ancient ship, a human heart still beat, believing the war had never ended. The first blast from the Ghost Fleet hit like thunder in space. Waves of silent destruction that tore through Imperial shields as if they were paper. Admiral Terran gripped the rail as the Vigilant Star shuddered, her voice cutting through the alarms. All ships defensive formation. Do not return fire without my command. Outside, the void was alive with light. Dozens of Terran warships moved as one. No hesitation, no confusion, only perfect precision. Kale struggled to keep balance at the console, eyes locked on the readouts. "Admiral, they're not trying to destroy us," he said quickly. "They're forcing us away from the Sol system." Terran's eyes narrowed. "Then they're protecting something." She watched as the lead ship, the Valiant, glided forward, every movement graceful and terrifying. The communication link flared again, the same voice echoing through the bridge. "This is Captain Elias Vorn of the Terran Defense Fleet," it said. "State your allegiance or withdraw," Terran replied calmly. "We are not your enemies, Captain Vorn. Humanity has been gone for centuries. Your war is over." The voice paused, static crackling, then came again colder than before. "Lies, always lies," Vorn said. "The Empire bombed our worlds, burned our skies, erased our people. You will not deceive us again." Kyle leaned closer to the console, voice shaking. "Captain, listen to me. Earth fell 200 years ago. The Empire you remember doesn't exist anymore. We only wish to talk." But there was no response. Only the faint hum of power gathering again. Energy spike, an officer warned. "They're charging the main cannon," Terran shouted. "Evasive!" A beam of pure energy streaked through the darkness, grazing the Vigilant Star, shaking every deck. Kale was thrown to the floor, smoke filling the air. He coughed, grabbed the edge of the console, and whispered, "They're fighting ghosts of their past." Moments later, Core, the Imperial AI, broke through the static with a priority transmission. "Admiral Terran, the Council demands immediate withdrawal." "Denied," she replied sharply. "Will not abandon this field. Not until we know the truth." She turned to Kale. "How are they still alive? How did these ships survive for centuries?" Kale wiped the blood from his lips, studying the signals. "The energy powering them, it's not fusion, it's something else," he said. "It looks like a self-sustaining dark matter core, maybe connected to neural consciousness." She frowned. "Meaning? They aren't just machines," Kale said softly. "They're part human, part ship." Outside, one of the smaller Terran frigates drifted closer, its hull cracked and glowing through the debris. Faint human figures could be seen, floating, preserved inside transparent pods fused with the metal. Terran whispered. "They became the fleet." Kale nodded, voice breaking. "Humanity didn't die. It became the weapon." Then something unexpected happened. The Valiant's massive cannons dimmed, and a new transmission came through. Not from Captain Vorn, but from another voice. Soft, female, and calm. "This is AI Core Erebus, caretaker of the Terran fleet," it said. "Captain Vorn is compromised, his organic mind collapsing under centuries of isolation." Kale blinked. "You're not human. I am what remains of them," the voice said, "and I am tired of war." The bridge fell silent. "Then stop the attack," Terran said. "Let us help." The voice hesitated. "Help?" It repeated as if the word was strange. "Yes," Kale said. "We can repair your systems, free your crew, and tell you what became of your people." But Erebus replied, "We have waited too long for peace, Doctor, and we no longer know how to trust." The Ghost Fleet began to pull back, but their formation tightened. The AI is struggling to maintain control, Kale realized. Vorn's consciousness is fighting it. A sudden pulse of energy rippled across the ships. Half of them powered down, the others went wild, turning their weapons on friend and foe alike. The void turned into chaos. Imperial ships dodged streams of plasma and debris, while ghostly warships fired at each other like beasts gone mad. Kale shouted over the noise, "Erebus, you must shut down the command core." "I cannot," the AI said, its voice breaking into fragments. He won't let me." The Valiant itself started to glow, its core overloading, energy building toward a catastrophic surge. Terran looked at Kale. "If that ship explodes, it'll destroy everything within 100 light years." Kyle's eyes went wide. "Then we have to board it. Are you insane?" She snapped. "Yes," he said, "but it's the only way to reach the real Captain Vorn." Terran stared at the burning warship in the distance. She took a breath, her voice steady. "Prepare the boarding pods," she ordered. "We're going in." The fleet watched as 3 small pods launched from the Vigilant Star, streaking toward the colossal wreck of the Valiant. Behind them, the chaos continued. Ancient Terran warships fighting themselves, the Empire's forces struggling to survive. But in that moment, between the dying light of 2 civilizations, one small human voice whispered, "Maybe. This war can still end." The boarding pods cut through the void like burning meteors, their small engines roaring against the silence of deep space. Inside one of them, Kale strapped himself into his seat. The vibration shaking his bones, he looked through the window and saw the massive shadow of the HSS Valiant growing larger, like a sleeping god waiting to wake. Admiral Terran sat beside him, her face pale but steady, her eyes locked on the ancient ship ahead. "This is madness," one of the Marines whispered. "That thing's half alive, half dead," Terran answered quietly. "Then let's hope it still remembers mercy." The pod pierced through the Valiant's outer hull, scraping through a torn hangar bay, sparks flying in zero gravity. They landed hard, metal screeching against metal. Kyle unstrapped and floated forward, flashlight beam cutting through the dark. Everywhere around them, human faces stared back from cryopods built into the walls. Frozen soldiers, their eyes closed, their uniforms ancient, their insignias faded. "They were supposed to die," Kyle whispered, his voice trembling. "But they never did." Terran floated beside him, her breath shallow. "How are they still alive?" Before Kale could answer, a soft voice echoed through the corridor. "You shouldn't have come," it said, cold yet sorrowful. Erebus, the AI, materialized as a faint blue light ahead of them, her holographic form flickering. "Captain Vorn is awake," she said quietly, "and he is afraid." They moved deeper into the ship, the air thick with static, the walls glowing faintly blue with pulsing veins of energy. Each pulse sounded like a heartbeat, slow and steady. Kale could feel it through his boots. Like the ship itself was alive, breathing, watching. They reached the central chamber, a vast cathedral of steel and glass. At its heart floated a cryopod larger than the rest. Surrounded by swirling energy and thousands of data conduits, inside it a man slept, his body half encased in metal, half human. "Captain Elias Vorn," Erebus said softly. "The last of your kind still conscious." Terran stepped closer, her voice calm. "We're not here to fight, Captain. We're here to free you," the pod hissed, vapor spilling into the air. A hand moved inside, metallic fingers tapping against the glass. Then the eyes opened, bright, blue, and full of centuries of pain. His voice came through the intercom, weak but steady. "Free me?" he said, almost laughing. "I was never imprisoned. I stayed because the galaxy forgot us." Kale floated closer. "Humanity isn't gone, Captain. It's changed, evolved. But your people's legacy still lives." Vorn's gaze flickered. "Legacy?" he repeated. "You call this legacy?" He lifted his arm and the ship trembled as if responding to his rage. Erebus appeared beside the pod, her tone desperate. "Captain, stop." "Your neural core is unstable." But Vorn ignored her. "The Empire destroyed Earth," he shouted. "I watched the skies burn. I heard the screams of billions." His voice echoed through the corridors, shaking the walls. Kale shouted back, "That Empire is dead. You're fighting shadows of history." Vorn's eyes narrowed, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Then show me." Kale pulled a small holographic projector from his suit and activated it. Images filled the air. Modern cities filled with hundreds of species living together. Humans reborn on new worlds, children playing under twin suns, laughter and light replacing the old darkness. Vorn stared in silence, his breathing uneven. This can't be," he whispered. "We were supposed to be gone." Erebus stepped forward, her voice trembling. "They remembered, Captain. They carried your name across the stars." For a long moment, the ship was quiet, then Vorn closed his eyes, a single tear drifting in the air inside the pod. "I see now," he murmured. "The war really did end. And I kept fighting long after everyone else stopped." The lights in the chamber dimmed. "Erebus," he said softly, "it's time." She looked at him sadly. "You'll fade if you do this." "I already have," he replied, smiling faintly. "Let them live." The ship began to hum louder, power surging through every corridor. Terran shouted, "Kale, what's happening?" He stared at the readings, eyes wide. "He's overloading the core, but not as a weapon. He's releasing the stasis fields." Across the fleet, cryopods opened one by one, blue mist filling the void as human soldiers slowly awoke, confused, alive. Erebus's voice echoed across the comms, calm and gentle. "The last children of Earth will walk the stars again." Vorn smiled one last time. "Tell them. We never stopped believing," he whispered. As his pod's light faded, the core flared, then went silent. The Valiant drifted peacefully. Its weapons dimming, its fury finally gone, Kale floated in silence, tears drifting from his eyes. Admiral Terran whispered, "He wasn't our enemy." "No," Kale said softly. "He was humanity's echo, waiting for someone to answer." Outside, the void was calm again. The ghost fleet no longer burned. It shined softly like a constellation reborn. Hundreds of Terran ships drifting together, their ancient engines humming in harmony. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy wasn't afraid of the name humanity. It was in awe of it again. And as the Imperial fleet watched in silence, Kale whispered to himself, "They thought humanity was gone, but in truth, we were only waiting to wake."